Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today I need a sort of gorgeous, elegant congratulations card, and I have lots of lace that I want to include in this one. Now, this is going to be super simple to put together. I have I think this is fog grey cardstock, but a light grey cardstock. And then I pulled out a couple of laces from my collection. I like to use fabric and lace and all those different textures in my card making. But often if they're not right in front of my face, I sometimes forget about them. So I'm going to pull these out today. I also have a couple of stamps here. Now, the one on the left is the Curvy Greetings from Woodware. This is a very old stamp, but one of my favorites. It is just beautiful, timeless, elegant, beautiful stamping, and it's got the congratulations down the bottom. And then the other one is a tiny little one from Woodware, and that is also a congratulations one. It's actually a congratulations on your engagement, but I just cut them all apart and end up using the congratulations more than them together. Then I also had this little Altenew stamp, but I actually thought that I was going to stamp some tone-on-tone stamping in the background, but scrap that idea. I didn't end up doing that anyhow. So I'm just sort of figuring out how I kind of, I might want things to go. I have a black lace and I have a white lace. So it's going to stand off of the card nicely because it's a grey card base. And I was wondering if it's, is it okay to use black? Is it, I don't know, is black lace weird on a congratulations card? Just for context, this card was for a wedding that was a little while ago, and so I was just trying to put together a quick, nice, easy, quick card. And sometimes it's good to have these cards that don't take too long, and adding textures and things like lace on is really, really fun. Although, if you don't have the actual lace, remember that you could do some texture paste through a stencil to get a similar look. There are lots of lacy sort of stencils out there as well. Or you could mask off part of a stencil and do it that way. You could create your own stencil using a die, and if you had something, you could run it through and then use that as a stencil, the negative. Lots of different ways that you could go about it. You could just use die cuts. That would also be fabulous. I do find that at the thrift stores or secondhand stores or op shops that there is often little bundles of lace, and I tend to pick them up every now and then just when I notice my stash is getting low, and that way it's sort of like a lucky dip as to what lace you get and also how much you get of it, and the colours. But that keeps it fun and a bit interesting, so that's where I picked up most of these from. I'm going to pop this on with some art glitter glue, or I do end up using some matte medium, the Ranger Multi-Medium and the matte finish. I find that one to be the strongest, and I definitely know it's not going anywhere if I use that to adhere fabrics and things onto my card. But for these two, I'm just going to put them, one facing upwards and one facing downwards, and then it's going to be like a little trim that you will see through. Now, I'm going to put a sentiment through the center of these, so I wasn't too worried about it being, perfectly straight through the center. It's going to be covered. And of course, it's hanging off at the edge at the moment. I will wait until this dries and then I will snip everything off. Then I have another piece of that light grey cardstock, and I decided to go with the larger congratulations from the Curvy Greetings one, just because it was a little bit bigger and it filled up the space nicely. So I have two pieces here. One of them I want to use as because this is going to be a silver card rather than gold, I use my anti-static powder bag to go over the part that I will do the words. I don't need to do it for the other part because, as I was saying, I'm just going to completely coat that in silver embossing, mainly so I can just have the exact same matching silver color. But you could also use some silver mirror cardstock or something like that to go along the sides too, or some glitter gold silver cardstock. But I'm just going to create my own so that it all matches nicely. So I just use my sticky embossing ink, which is the VersaMark ink, and then this is the silver from Ranger. You can see that the congratulations is nice and crisp and beautiful, and then I'm just going to do the entire other piece, and that will become a little matting layer for the words here. Now, I do find that when I do one layer of the heat embossing, sometimes, depending on which paper you're doing it on and depending on the embossing powder that you're using. Sometimes it gets a bit dimply, or I'm not sure if that's a word, so just not perfectly smooth. And so I like to do a second layer when I want it to get, you know, actually nice and smooth. This is obviously a little bit more tricky for words. It would be easier if it were in a stamping platform. I could restamp it in the same place, but I didn't, and that's okay. The words turned out perfect. It's just this more solid piece here that you can see the second time round. It's definitely much smoother when I have done 2 layers of the heat embossing, but not necessary at all, just goes for a smoother look in general. And of course, it is going to heat set really fast that second time round with the first layer underneath it. So I have the matching silver cardstock that will become the matting layer as well, and then it's really a matter of putting this whole card together. As I said, this came together very, very quick and was super easy to pop together, which is exactly the type of cards that I love. Sorry about the sun streaming in. It's very hard to want to shut the curtains when the sun is coming in, because we have finally reached summer here in New Zealand and I am enjoying finally seeing some sunshine. But it does make it a little bit annoying on the video, so I apologize. Right, I've cut off those extra little pieces of lace, and then I'm going to just any little pieces that, you know, I didn't quite catch with enough glue, or that, you know, you just need to add a little bit extra, I can do that too. I also thought I wanted to add a little bit more of a decorative element to this one as well, rather than just the words, because this is, you know, relatively plain so far. And I had some of these flowers that I think I actually got them for the kids when we were putting together some craft activities. But I do have some here, and they are very, very cute. So I thought I would use them, but they look a little bit plasticky. It looks a little bit, yeah, the center is just not very nice. It's sort of half worn off. So I'm going to snip this off. It's very easy just to snip. I just pull back all of the petals, and then I can snip that plastic bit in there. And then essentially this is just a fabric flower with a hole through the center. And I think there's 3 or 4 layers. I'm going to take some brads, some decorative brads that I have, and I have some sort of vintagey looking ones, I would say, and they're sort of more brassy coloured, and some are darker coloured. I thought those could go nice, but actually I have some silver ones as well, and I think that's going to go with the tone of the card a little bit better. This one has some yellow in the center. These are all very colorful. Then what I decided to do is I also had some funky buttons, some wooden buttons, and I thought maybe I would put one of the brads through the button and then everything else through the flower. The holes in this wooden button weren't punched perfectly, so I'm just using my reverse tweezers to sort of pull through the brad. If I wanted to, I could have just hot glued this. It probably would have been just as easy, but yeah, it just makes a nice creative flower out of something that looked a little bit plasticky before, and now hopefully it looks a little more elegant and just adds that tiny little splash of color in with that gorgeous silver. Now at this point I was deciding, I could not decide if the black was a yay or a nay. Did it look too dark or too, I'm not sure, but I did like the contrast that it created. So on with the black. I'm not sure. You can let me know in the comment section down below whether it's appropriate. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. I'm sure the recipient is not going to think that deeply into the card, but obviously when we're creating them, we want to create them to the best of our abilities, and so I was just thinking, second guessing myself, I guess. Then I pop this layer over top. I'm putting quite a lot of glue on each one of these layers and holding it down because I do want things to be very secure when I am using fabric. Now I'm going to sit that there for a second so that it cannot go anywhere. Add some glue underneath my flower here, and then this is going to sit on the side. The button and the brad don't create too much dimension at all, but this one was going in with a gift, so I actually wasn't worried about that anyhow. But that is my finished card for today, using some fabric and lace in our card making. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks, bye!